Hello and welcome to a Talmud Israeli production. Today we'll review the highlights of this week's course of Daf Yomi study, Masechet Moed Katan, pages 18 through 24. Yudchet 18. Ein nosim nashim ba'moed. You're not allowed to get married, to have nisuin, the second stage of Jewish marriage, on Chol HaMoed. Why? Because of Ein ma'arvin simcha b'simcha, you're not supposed to commingle various types of rejoicing. The rejoicing related to the marriage and the rejoicing related to the holiday, but rather they should be distinct. However, Amar Shmuel, mutar la'ares isha b'chulul shamoed. You're allowed to do erusin, or rather kiddushin, the first stage of the Jewish wedding ceremony. Why? Shama yikad menu acher. We're concerned that if we do not allow a man to do this on Chol HaMoed, then some other man will preempt him and marry the girl in question. So in order not to lose the possibility of this shidduch that he very much wants, will allow him to secure the arrangement by doing kiddushin erusin on Chol HaMoed. Yutet 19. Amar Rav, Avel kevan she'amdu menachem me'etzlo muter b'rachitza keman ka'aba Shaul. So on the seventh day of the Shiva, of the 7 days of mourning, as soon as the consolers, those who come to be Menachem Avil, leave, the mourner is now allowed to wash himself, meaning the strictures of the Avelut are over. The Shiva has effectively concluded early in the day on the seventh day, in accordance with the viewpoint of Abba Shaul. Now, what's the halachic basis for this idea of not observing a full seventh day? The answer is Miktzat Hayom Kekulo. A partial day is reckoned as a full day. So, in reality, in modern times, if a person were to pass away and the burial is on, for instance, a Thursday, then Thursday counts as the first day of Shiva. The seventh day would be the following Wednesday, but realistically, the only thing observed on the Wednesday is the Shacharit service in the house of the mourner and the giving of condolences right after the Shacharit service, and then that's it. It's over. The Shiva has concluded. Daf Chav 20. How do you know that if you hear about the death of a relative sometime well after the death has actually occurred? And this was common before modern technology, when communication was limited, and if a person lived several towns over or in several provinces over, would not find out about the death of a loved one until well after the death had occurred. So then they observe some avelut, but only one day, Yom Echad, not a full Shiva. How do we know this? Tichtiv, as it says, Hafachti chagechem la'evil. I have made your holidays into evil to mourning. V'ashkechan atzeret tikri chad yom hachag. And we find that Atzeret Shavuot is a one-day holiday, as opposed to Sukkot and Pesach, which are week-long holidays. Atzeret Shavuot is only one day, so since that is a Chag, then the smallest amount of Avilut is one day. And when do we do that? A Shmur Rechoka. When you hear a distant message, you lost a loved one a while back, one day of mourning. Chafal 21. Tanu Rabbanan. Avil Shloshim Rishonim Asub Malacha. An Avel is not supposed to work during the Shiva. They're supposed to be home and embracing the fact that they are in mourning and crying over their loved one and receiving consolation visits, not working, earning a parnasa, a livelihood. Well, the first 3 days, this is an absolute rule. Even a pauper who has to rely upon charity cannot work the first 3 days of the Avelut. However, from day 4 and onward, day 4 through 7, if he really is starving and has no other means of support, he's allowed to work in a sort of clandestine fashion privately in his own home to earn some kind of an income to feed himself. Chavbet 22. Amar Shmuel halacha kedivrei hamekil ba'avel. The law follows the lenient opinion in matters of halachic controversy concerning the laws of Avelut. Now, this is probably the most important line in the entire tractate of Moed Katan. Why? Because it's the general rule, the general principle, that when we have machlokot, disagreements in Hilchot Avelut, we'll follow the lenient opinion. Now, the question then is, how far do we take this? Is it true only with regard to Tanaitic disputes that appear in the Talmud? Is it true also regarding Amoraic disputes that appear in the Talmud? Or do we want to extend it even further to the period of the Gaonim or the Rishonim, even the Achronim? That whatever level of chronology, we're willing to extend this principle that the law will follow always the more lenient viewpoint. If we take it to absurdum, even to modern times, then any rabbi who issues a lenient ruling in matters of psak halacha ve'velut, they're automatically right, de facto. So that far we don't go. But there are various shitot, various opinions about what phase of halachic history this rule applies to. Chaf Gimel. Tanu Rabbanan. Kol shloshim yom l'nisuin. For 30 days after the death of a loved one, you're not allowed to get married. Meita ishto. What happens if someone's wife passed away? Asli sa'ishachet galim. The man shouldn't get remarried until after 3 festivals pass: Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. Why? To allow time to mourn the loss of his beloved wife and to get him ready for a new life with somebody else. However, if the man had no children, had not fulfilled the mitzvah of pru'ervu, be fruitful and multiply, then mutalis la'alter, you can get married right away, mishum bitul piruvia. So such a person need not wait for the 3 festivals to pass. There's another scenario where he doesn't need to wait. And what happens if a wife passed away, she was relatively young, and there were small children in the house who need a mother to take care of them? They may not even be toilet trained yet, or they can't prepare their own food. So this man needs to have a wife at home to look after his young children. So then he's allowed to marry right away to take care of the children, on the premise that the husband, the man, is not very capable of domestic responsibilities. Chaf Dalet, 24. Mahen behesped. If a child passes away, God forbid, at what age are they old enough to be deserving of their own hesped? Aniyim b'nei shalosh, asir b'nei chamesh. So the children of a pauper are eulogized at the age of 3. The child of a rich person is the age of 5. Why the difference between the pauper and the rich man, with the child of the pauper being eulogized at a much earlier age? Because the rich man has various aspects of life that he enjoys. He has his money, he has his indulgences, but the child is not necessarily the most important thing that he has in life, as opposed to the ani, the pauper, who has nothing other than the love for his own children. And so if he loses a child, even at a very early age, a tender age of even 3, we'll want to issue condolences and console that person by offering eulogies for the fact that he lost something that was very precious to him. And if someone had a child late in life and was a very older parent, that older parent is more attached to the child than even a younger parent would be, and so for an early age is given for the hesped, for a eulogy, for b'nei zikanim. Everyone have a great week.